First Fitness 3. If you're looking to get started in a fitter, healthier lifestyle, if you want to change where you're at, if you want to go from sad face to happy face, but you have no idea where to start because it's a lot out there, guys. There is so much information constantly being pumped into your face through social media, through YouTube videos. Hell, I'm talking to you right now, right? It's a lot. It's overwhelming. You don't know where to begin. If you have no idea where to start and you're not going to listen to any other fitness information except for this, just listen to these 3 things. This is going to give you 3 stairs, manageable bite-sized brackets or concepts, that you can start today and you can add on over time depending on how fast or how quickly you want to move into this whole fitness thing. And these are concepts, right? We're not going to focus on how are we doing a lat pull down or when are we going to eat our protein, because that shit doesn't matter. What we're going to focus on today is, James, I have tried before and I can't seem to have it stick. I've tried before and I failed. I've tried before and I just can't find the motivation. I'm sick and tired of not being able to achieve this. What is stopping me? It's likely because you're taking on too much. 90% of the population, that's a fake statistic by the way, 90% of the population can't go all in. They just can't. Life's hard, man. You got a lot going on. And this is a new thing that you're trying to do. You got to give yourself some slack. But you can give yourself some slack, but that doesn't mean that you can give yourself excuses to not really push yourself to make the change. Okay? So, 3 steps. 1, clear the whiteboard. Just kidding, that's not actually step 1. All right, I understand there's a glare here, guys. I just wanted better lighting for here. Damn, I could have written that centered more. Why? You have to define your why. If you don't have a reason to work out, if you don't have a real emotional reason to work out, to define your why, you are not going to be able to get through the hard times. It's not easy. It's really not. There's going to be times where it's going to be difficult, especially if you have to change or undo a bunch of bad habits. But your why is important. That's your defining factor of why am I doing this? When you're on, week 4 of trying to eat in a calorie deficit, which we'll talk about later, and you're like, man, it'd be really nice to just go back and eat all those bad foods that I've been eating, and it would be so easy just to order some, double cheeseburgers right now and just blow my calories for the day. You're going to think back to that why, and it's going to help support you, and it's going to help remind you of the reason why you started. And it seems like a dumb thing, right? Oh, James, a phrase is going to help me prevent me from doing the bad things, and it's going to keep me going. Absolutely. It 100% is. But you have to take it and you have to really think about what it is, and then you have to write it down. And then once you write it down, you have to memorize it. And then you have to make sure that every time you go and you put some effort into becoming a fitter, better version of yourself, you are working towards that why, because of that why. That's your defining factor. Okay? You've seen it before. You've seen other people be able to do this. Ask them what their why is. I'll tell you mine. Growing up, before I was in the physique that I am now, I had no confidence. I was a chubby fat kid. And then I was a super skinny kid with no muscle. Time for another story later on, right? I didn't have any confidence. I didn't think of myself. Every time I would go out, every time I'd be in a social setting, every time I would go to a family function, every time my friends would come over, every time my sisters would have friends over, every time I had family in, I felt shuddered. I wasn't confident in myself. I didn't have any self-pride or anything. I felt like everybody was looking at me and everybody was judging me. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't adequate. And so my why stems from my relationship with myself and the way that I view myself in relationship to the world. My why is I want to be a healthier and fitter version of myself. So that way when I walk into a room, I have unwavering pride in my identity. Unwavering pride in my identity. I walk into a room and I'm proud of who I am. Okay? That's where my why stems from. Your why might have to do with your children, your loved ones, Are you showing up for the people that demand the most of you? Maybe you're about to be a new grandparent, right? You're about to have a kid running around and you know that you're not going to be able to keep up with that kid. Well, youth versus how old you are, right? That's going to be difficult. But if you were in a fitter version of yourself, you'd probably be able to give that kid more energy of your day, right? Define your why. I would stick with an emotional component of what's the root reason on why you want to change, right? Having six-pack abs is not a good reason. I want a six-pack abs. And then I tried to do it, and I said, this shit's overrated. I knew how to do it. I can do it. But it's not there's no why there. I didn't want to continue pushing. I didn't want to eat that less and less more food to get my body fat down. Instead, I now know who I am. I know that I'm capable of doing that. Choose not to do it. Okay? Define your why. That's step one. Once you have your why, I want you to write down in your notebook or your notes app, wherever you can log progress, I want you to write your why so that way you can have access to it easily and quickly. Okay? That's step one. Define your why. Also, when you're defining your why, if you don't know if it's a good why, email me. Literally email me. I like helping people with this stuff. Me getting into a fitter, healthier version of myself. I mean, hell, I tattooed Be Better on my arm for this reason. I want to help people feel like this. My pride in my own identity is something that I've achieved because I did the hard things and I went the fit route. So helping people, if I can make more people feel the way that I feel or have the confidence that I have, that's my goal in life, is I want to make you all feel better. I want to help people. So email me. Okay, step two. Oh yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Movement. Movement. We're moving. Okay. Probably thinking, James, what about my food? Why aren't we doing food next? The reason we're not doing food is because I think food is extremely hard for people that don't have any experience tracking it or identifying what they should and shouldn't eat. There's a whole video that I could make on food. That's why number two is movement. Because if you try to jump into food and you're not seeing the results that you want from food, you are not going to have the motivation or be able to see any progress to continue. You're going to get you're going to get demoralized. So that's why number two is movement. All you're doing is defining what you can give in a week. I would just recommend start walking. If you got a lot of body fat to lose, let's start walking. If you don't have a lot of body fat and you're looking to add on some muscle, let's start doing some strength training workouts. Push-ups, sit-ups, box sits, air squats. You don't even need a weight at this point. Just do body weight work, right? Walk too. But if you have a lot of body fat, let's just start getting some steps in. Movement. Work out your schedule, right? Where can you find the time to add at least anywhere to 2 to 4 movements per week, right? So a good example that I like to have is, okay, on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we're doing a 20-minute walk, right? 20-minute walk on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then you just do that for a few weeks until it becomes a habit. It's like brushing your teeth, right? Start walking until it starts like it's your brushing your teeth. Or if you want to put on some muscle and you want to start working that route, push-ups. I'm going to do 2 sets of as many push-ups as I can do every morning, every other day. Or I'm going to do 10 box sits every other day for 2 sets. You're just going to add your movement. Now, defining how much movement you want in the beginning, that's up to you. I say start off small and continuously add it over time, but if you want to start any movement, walking. Just start walking. My goal, if you want to really get serious about it, if you can see that because of the glare, that's 10,000 steps a day. That's what I like to achieve, is 10,000 steps a day. It's about, if you walk for 30 minutes, you're going to get close to that, especially if you're walking out throughout the rest of the day. But that's what I go for, is 10,000 steps, okay? Movement. Now, defining how much movement you should be doing in the beginning is going to be, it's going to vary by different people. It's going to vary completely. Like, for example, if you look like I used to look like when I had 0 muscle mass, I really needed to do some strength training and I need to prioritize my food. And then when I was super overweight, I definitely needed some movement. So it's a little bit different for everybody. But from a core standpoint, Define your why, start getting some movement in, okay? And then consistently do that movement for an extended period of time. Now, okay, you've been working out, you've been doing these things for a few weeks now, you got the movement now, it comes into a routine, and now we can start focusing on the food. Let me put a big old 3 here. Okay. And now when we're talking about food, I'm talking about tracking your food. You don't even have to change your food yet if it seems like too much for you, okay? All we have to do with food is you're gonna go to Walmart, you're gonna go to Amazon, you're gonna go to Target, and you're gonna buy a food scale, and you're gonna start tracking everything that you have. Everything that you're eating, you're gonna track it. And at the end of the day, you're gonna see how many calories you eat in average on a day. If you want an app, there's an app called Lose It. It's a little orange scale. It looks like a little scale, it's orange on the App Store. There's a paid version, but the free version gives you everything that you need. Lose It allows you to track, and then it has a little handy thing. You can follow it by the schedule. Just start tracking everything that you're eating. I promise you, you don't understand how many calories you're eating if you are overweight. It's astounding. Food is not the grocery store for the most part, unless you know what you're doing. It's not in your corner. I'm telling you, it's really hard. It's going to be difficult, but before you can make a change, you need to have the awareness of what the problem is. And you tracking your food is how you can define the problem. Once you define the problem, that's when you can fix it, right? So, 3, food. Start tracking your food every single day. Everything you eat. Olive oil that you're putting in food, track it. This one's hard. I know it sounds difficult, but once you find out what you're eating, that's when you can make the changes that you need to, okay? So step 3 is food. We're gonna start tracking our food. And then from there, once we are done tracking our food, we've been doing it for months, 2 months, 3 months, right? And tracking food is not something we're gonna do for the rest of our lives, okay? I don't track my food right now, but I did. I did track my food for a while. I tracked my food for a few months. And then even now, I'll have instances where if I really want to kind of like tone back my body fat level, I want to do a little bit of a cut. I want to make sure that I'm eating in a calorie deficit, which if you want to learn more about a calorie deficit, peep this video right here. It's really great. Well, I'm not even sure if I can link it yet, but it'll be in the notes. That's when you can define, okay, now I'm going to start cutting my calories to get into a calorie deficit to start losing that body fat. But the main point is if you don't understand what you're eating, you can't fix it, okay? So we're going to start tracking everything, and then once we're done tracking everything for a few months and we understand what we're eating, that's when we're going to define our calorie deficit. There are tons of calculators online that you can figure it out. The ones that ask you about activity level usually aren't that great because they're not that accurate. There's also a very simple way that a great coach online. If you're not going to listen to me, go listen to him. His name is Jordan Syatt. He has a very simple method where basically you take your ideal body weight or your lean mass body weight and you multiply it by 11. And then that's how many calories you should eat in a day. And that is a great way to start without even having to do anything. And that puts you in a moderate enough calorie deficit for ideally your weight where you're not going to feel like you're starving all the time. So define your calorie deficit. And then start adjusting your foods from there. Now, pen's going down because I'm not writing anything else on the board. This is a very, very simple video. If you're watching this video and you think it's obvious, you might be more advanced than this. But believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that don't understand even where to begin. I'm telling you, don't make this more difficult than it has to be. Really, 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 really simplify it, okay? Define your why. Understand why you're wanting to work out, why you want to make a change. 2, start moving. Add it into a routine. Make it a habit like it's brushing your teeth. And then 3, start tracking your food. And the only reason that I'm putting movement in front of tracking your food is that tracking your food is hard. And a lot of people, if they feel overwhelmed with tracking their food, they're going to quit. But if you start walking for a few months and then you feel the difference, which you will, how much better you feel after walking, that's going to give you a lot of confidence. It's going to give you receipts. It's going to give you receipts to start doing that food and know that you can do this. That's why I put it there. If you want to do food first, food's going to make the biggest impact. If you're eating in a calorie deficit, you will lose body fat, period. It all comes down to calories. Calories in, calories out. How many are you burning? How many aren't you burning? So those are the first 3 things that I would focus on. The first fitness 3. Just focus on those things. And once you have those things down pat, that's when you can start getting more into the intricacies, right? So if you've felt overwhelmed, if you feel like you're going to quit, just start doing these 3. And then we can define a further plan. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. You got a lot of stuff going on in life. You need to be able to start this in a way that is sustainable. If you're trying to do a 180, this is going to be where you start. I hope it helps. I hope it helps somebody. Sometimes when I'm making videos like this that are super high level, sometimes I feel like I'm not giving enough information. So if you have specific questions about this, or if you have specific questions about anything, please, please, please email me. I would love to have a conversation with you. I want to help more people. So if you have a question like, hey, I don't understand calorie deficit, or I'm having trouble defining my why. I love helping people find their why. I love learning about people. Email me. It's right here at the bottom. Just shoot me an email, explain your situation. I would love to chat. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, and I really appreciate it. Remember,